If you walked into your local grocery store tomorrow morning and headed straight for the pantry aisle, you might not notice anything wrong at first. The shelves look normal enough. But look closer. Look at the gaps. Look at the brands that used to be there and aren't anymore. Look at the prices that jumped 30% in the last 6 months and nobody said a word about it. I've been tracking this for a while now, and what I'm seeing in 2026 is unlike anything we've dealt with before. It's not one big dramatic shortage. It's a slow, quiet, disappearing act. One product at a time. One brand at a time. And most people won't realize what's happening until they reach for something they've bought for 20 years and it's just gone. Today, I'm walking you through 15 pantry foods that are getting genuinely hard to find at grocery stores right now. Some of these are going to shock you. Number 11 in particular is one that almost every household in America depends on, and what's happening to it behind the scenes is something nobody is talking about. You're going to want to hear that one. Before we get into the list, if you're not subscribed yet, now is the time. This channel is about giving you the information before it becomes mainstream news. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, and let's get into it. Item number 1. Canned tuna. This one has been creeping up on people for a while now, but in 2026 it hit a tipping point. Canned tuna, especially the affordable chunk light variety, is becoming noticeably harder to find in a lot of stores. And when you do find it, the price is nothing like what it was 2 years ago. Here's what's going on. Global tuna catches have been declining. Fishing regulations in the Western and Central Pacific have tightened significantly. Labor costs at processing plants in Southeast Asia have gone up. And the big brands have been quietly reducing the number of varieties they produce. You used to see 6 or 7 options on the shelf. Now you're lucky to see 3. I checked my local Walmart last month. The store brand chunk light tuna that I used to buy for 89 cents a can was $1.49. And there were only about a dozen cans on the shelf. The spot next to it where the albacore used to sit was completely empty. Not temporarily out of stock. The price tag was gone. The slot was reassigned to something else. If your family relies on canned tuna for quick meals, stock up now while it's still available. Buy the store brand if you can find it. Keep it in a cool, dry spot in your pantry. It lasts for years. This is one of those items where waiting another 6 months could mean paying double or not finding it at all. Don't sleep on this one. It's a staple protein source for millions of Americans, and it's quietly slipping away. Item number 2. Olive oil. If you've bought olive oil recently, you already know something is very wrong. But the situation in 2026 is worse than most people realize. Olive harvests in Spain, Italy, and Greece have been devastated for 3 consecutive years now. Drought, extreme heat, and a bacterial disease called Xylella fastidiosa have wiped out massive portions of olive groves across the Mediterranean. Spain alone produces nearly half the world's olive oil, and their output has dropped by over 40% compared to historical averages. The result is simple. Prices have exploded. A bottle of extra virgin olive oil that cost $6 or $7 in 2022 is now running $14 to $18 in most grocery stores. And in some regions, certain brands have disappeared entirely. I've spoken to someone who manages inventory for a mid-sized grocery chain in the Southeast, and they told me they can no longer guarantee consistent supply of any imported olive oil under $12 a bottle. Industry reports from the International Olive Council confirm that global reserves are at their lowest point in over a decade. There is no quick fix for this. Olive trees take years to mature. Even if weather patterns improve tomorrow, recovery is years away. Here's what I'd suggest. If you find olive oil at a reasonable price, buy 2 or 3 bottles. Store them in a cool, dark place. They'll last 12 to 18 months unopened. And start experimenting with alternatives like avocado oil or sunflower oil for everyday cooking. Save your olive oil for the dishes where it truly matters. This is one where the sticker shock is real and it's not going back down anytime soon. Item number 3. Canned coconut milk. This one surprised me when I first started noticing it. Canned coconut milk used to be one of those reliable pantry staples. You'd find it in every grocery store, usually for $1.50 to $2 a can. Now it's becoming inconsistent. The issue traces back to supply chain problems in Thailand and the Philippines, which produce the vast majority of the world's coconut products. Aging coconut palm plantations are producing lower yields. Younger farmers in these countries are moving away from coconut farming because the income isn't competitive. On top of that, global demand for coconut-based products has surged because of the plant-based food movement. More people want coconut milk, coconut cream, coconut yogurt, coconut everything. But the supply is not keeping up. I went to 3 different stores last week looking for a specific brand of full-fat canned coconut milk that I use for curries. 2 of the stores didn't have it. The third had it, but the price had gone up by almost $1 per can since January. If you cook with coconut milk regularly, this is worth paying attention to. Buy a case when you see it in stock. The canned version has a long shelf life, usually 2 to 3 years. And if your store has a good price on it right now, that price is not guaranteed next month. This is the kind of item that doesn't make headlines, but when it's gone from your store, you feel it immediately in your kitchen. Item number 4. Sriracha sauce. You probably remember the sriracha shortage that started back in 2022 and 2023. A lot of people assumed it was over. It's not. Hui Fong Foods, the company behind the iconic Rooster bottle, has continued to face problems with their chili pepper supply. Their primary growing region in California has dealt with water restrictions, labor shortages, and unpredictable growing seasons. The company has been unable to return to full production capacity, and competitors who tried to fill the gap have run into their own sourcing issues. What you're seeing now in 2026 is a market where sriracha is technically available but inconsistently stocked and significantly more expensive. I've seen the original Hui Fong bottle priced anywhere from $5 to $9, depending on the store and the region. That's for a bottle that used to cost $3 and change. I noticed this myself about 2 months ago. I went to grab a bottle at my usual store and the shelf was empty. Not low. Empty. The manager told me they get a shipment maybe once every 2 weeks and it sells out within a day or 2. If you love sriracha, grab it when you see it. Or consider trying sambal welek or chili garlic sauce as a backup. Both are similar in flavor profile and sometimes easier to find. But the days of cheap abundant sriracha are behind us for now. This is one of those products that people take for granted until it's not there anymore. Item number 5. Boxed pasta. This one might catch some people off guard because pasta feels like it should always be available. It's one of the most basic pantry items in America. But the reality in 2026 is more complicated than you'd think. Durum wheat, which is the specific type of wheat used to make most dried pasta, has been under serious pressure. Major growing regions in Canada, North Dakota, and parts of Europe have experienced below-average harvests due to drought conditions and shifting weather patterns. Canada is the world's largest exporter of durum wheat, and their production has been inconsistent for several years running. The big pasta brands have responded by raising prices and quietly reducing the number of shapes and varieties they produce. You might not notice that your store no longer carries angel hair or orzo or ditalini, but if you look carefully, the selection has narrowed. And the price per box has crept up to where a basic 1-pound box of spaghetti now costs close to $2 at many stores. That's nearly double what it was a few years ago. I buy pasta in bulk now. Whenever I see it on sale, I grab 5 or 6 boxes. Dried pasta lasts for years if you store it properly. Keep it sealed, keep it dry, and it's one of the best long-term pantry investments you can make. Don't assume pasta will always be $1 a box. Those days are fading fast. Item number 6. Canned tomatoes. Here's one that hits close to home for anyone who cooks from scratch. Canned tomatoes, whether diced, crushed, or whole, are becoming harder to find at the prices we're used to. California produces the vast majority of processing tomatoes for the American market. And California's agricultural sector has been under relentless pressure from water restrictions, rising labor costs, and extreme heat events that damage crops during critical growing windows. The 2025 harvest was below expectations, and early projections for 2026 aren't much better. On top of that, the cost of the cans themselves has gone up. Steel and aluminum prices have risen, and tin-plated steel, which is what most food cans are made from, has seen significant cost increases. So even if the tomatoes inside the can were free, the packaging alone would push prices higher. I was at Costco recently and noticed that their Kirkland brand canned crushed tomatoes, which used to be one of the best deals in the store, had gone up by about 20%. And the organic options at other stores are even worse. Some brands have disappeared from shelves entirely. Stock up on canned tomatoes when they go on sale. They last 2 to 3 years easily. And if you have the space, consider buying by the case. This is a building block ingredient for dozens of meals, and losing easy access to it changes how you cook at home. Protect your pantry on this one. You'll thank yourself later. Item number 7. Honey, real honey. Not the flavored syrup that some brands try to pass off as honey. Actual pure honey is getting harder to find at a fair price, and the reasons go deeper than most people realize. Bee populations in the United States have been declining for years. Colony collapse disorder, pesticide exposure, habitat loss, and parasites like the varroa mite have all taken a toll. Commercial beekeeping operations are struggling to maintain hive numbers, and domestic honey production has dropped significantly. At the same time, imported honey, which makes up a large portion of what you see on store shelves, has been plagued by fraud. There have been repeated investigations into honey being adulterated with corn syrup or rice syrup, particularly imports from certain countries that route through third-party nations to avoid tariffs. The FDA has limited resources to test every bottle, so questionable products continue to reach consumers. I looked into this after noticing that a jar of raw local honey at my farmer's market was $12 for 16 ounces. That felt high until I realized the grocery store brand next to it was almost the same price, and I had no way of knowing if it was even real honey. If you use honey regularly, try to find a local beekeeper or a trusted brand with transparent sourcing. Buy larger jars when you find a good deal. Pure honey literally never expires if stored properly. It's one of the few foods on earth that lasts indefinitely. This is about knowing what you're actually putting in your body and your family's food. Don't take the label at face value. Item number 8. Rice. This is a big one. Rice is a foundational food for hundreds of millions of people, and the global rice market in 2026 is under more stress than at any point in recent memory. India, which is the world's largest rice exporter, imposed export restrictions on certain types of rice starting in 2023. Those restrictions have been extended and expanded multiple times. The reasoning is domestic food security, but the impact on global supply has been enormous. Countries that depended on Indian rice exports have been scrambling to find alternatives, which has driven up prices everywhere. In the United States, domestic rice production has also faced challenges. Arkansas, Louisiana, and California are the top rice-producing states, and all three have dealt with water issues and rising input costs. The price of a standard bag of long-grain white rice at most grocery stores has gone up by 30 to 50% compared to 2 years ago. I buy rice in 25-pound bags now. I store it in food-grade buckets with oxygen absorbers. White rice stored this way can last 20 to 30 years. It sounds extreme, but when you look at the trajectory of rice prices and availability, it's just common sense. If rice is a regular part of your diet, do not wait on this. Buy what you can afford now, store it properly, and you won't have to worry about price spikes or empty shelves catching you off guard. This is one of the most important items on this entire list. Item number 9. Canned soup. This one is less about a dramatic shortage and more about a quiet transformation that's leaving a lot of people frustrated. Canned soup is still on the shelves, but what's inside the can is changing, and not for the better. Major soup brands have been reformulating their recipes to cut costs. Less meat, less vegetables, more water, more sodium, more fillers. The can might look the same. The label might look the same. But the soup inside is not the same product it was 5 years ago. On top of that, prices have risen steadily. A can of name brand condensed soup that used to be $1 is now pushing $2 or more. And some of the more specialized varieties, like the chunky soups with real pieces of chicken or beef, are becoming harder to find consistently. I opened a can of what used to be my favorite chicken noodle soup last month, and I'm not exaggerating when I say there were maybe 4 small pieces of chicken in the entire can. It was basically salty broth with noodles. That's not a meal. That's a disappointment. If you rely on canned soup, start looking at store brands, which sometimes offer better value. Or better yet, learn to make a big batch of soup at home and can it yourself or freeze it in portions. You'll get more nutrition, more flavor, and more control over what your family is eating. Don't let shrinkflation steal your meals without you even noticing. Item number 10. Peanut butter. Peanut butter is one of America's most beloved pantry staples, and right now it's under pressure from multiple directions. Peanut crops in the southeastern United States, particularly in Georgia, which produces nearly half of the country's peanuts, have been affected by erratic weather. Too much rain at the wrong time, followed by dry spells during critical growth stages, has led to lower yields and lower quality harvests. The 2025 growing season was particularly rough, and the effects are showing up on store shelves in 2026. Global demand for peanuts has also increased, driven by growing markets in Asia and the expansion of peanut-based products in the health food sector. More competition for the same supply means higher prices for everyone. I checked prices at 3 different stores last week. The standard 16-ounce jar of a major brand creamy peanut butter ranged from $4.29 to $5.49. 2 years ago, you could regularly find that same jar for under $3, sometimes on sale for $2.50. Buy peanut butter when it's on sale. Stock up. It lasts a long time in the pantry, especially the conventional kind with stabilizers. If you prefer natural peanut butter, keep opened jars in the fridge to extend their life. And consider store brands or warehouse club sizes for better per ounce pricing. Peanut butter is one of those items that every family counts on. Don't let rising prices catch you without a backup jar. Item number 11, baking supplies. This is the one I mentioned at the beginning, and it's broader than a single product. I'm talking about the entire category of basic baking supplies. Flour, sugar, baking powder, baking soda, vanilla extract, powdered sugar, brown sugar. These items that used to be the cheapest, most reliable things in any grocery store are all getting hit at the same time. Let me break it down. Flour prices have risen because of wheat market volatility and higher processing costs. Sugar prices globally are at multi-year highs due to poor harvests in Brazil and India, the 2 largest sugar producers. Pure vanilla extract has been expensive for years because of supply problems in Madagascar. But in 2026, it's reaching a point where a small bottle costs more than some people's hourly wage. And even baking soda, which is literally one of the simplest chemical compounds on Earth, has seen price increases due to rising energy and transportation costs. I bake with my family. It's something we do together on weekends. And I started noticing that a simple batch of cookies was costing me noticeably more to make. So I sat down and priced out every ingredient compared to what I paid 2 years ago. The total cost of a basic chocolate chip cookie recipe had gone up by almost 40%. 40% for cookies. Nobody is talking about this because each individual item only went up by 50 cents or $1. But when you add them all together, the impact on your grocery bill is significant. Buy flour and sugar in bulk. Store them in airtight containers. Stock up on vanilla extract when you find it at a reasonable price because it literally does not expire. And keep an eye on baking powder and baking soda, which are cheap now but trending upward. If you bake at home to save money compared to buying store-bought goods, you need to be strategic about sourcing your ingredients. Otherwise, the savings disappear. Item number 12. Canned beans. Canned beans are one of the most practical, affordable, and nutritious pantry items in existence, and they're starting to show cracks in both availability and pricing. Dry bean production in the United States has been declining. North Dakota and Michigan, two of the top bean-producing states, have faced difficult growing conditions. Meanwhile, demand for beans and legumes has increased as more people adopt plant-based diets or simply look for cheaper protein sources. When demand goes up and supply goes down, you know exactly what happens. Certain varieties are being hit harder than others. Black beans and kidney beans are still relatively available, but garbanzo beans, also known as chickpeas, have become noticeably more expensive. Great northern beans and navy beans are showing up less frequently on shelves, and organic canned beans have become almost luxury items in some stores. I used to buy canned beans without even looking at the price. It was always somewhere between 79 cents and $1. Now I'm seeing $1.49 to $1.99 for basic varieties. That might not sound like a lot, but if you use 3 or 4 cans a week like my family does, it adds up to an extra $200 or more per year. Buy canned beans on sale and stock up. They last for years. Or consider buying dry beans in bulk and cooking them yourself. A 1-pound bag of dry beans costs about the same as 1 can and yields the equivalent of 3 to 4 cans. It takes more time, but the savings are real. This is one of those quiet budget killers that sneaks up on you if you're not paying attention. Item number 13. Breakfast cereal. Walk down the cereal aisle at any major grocery store and tell me it doesn't look different than it did a couple of years ago. Fewer options, smaller boxes, higher prices. It's happening everywhere. The major cereal companies have been aggressively shrinkflating their products. Boxes that used to be 16 ounces are now 12 or 13 ounces. Family-size boxes that used to be genuinely large now feel like they last 3 days. And the prices haven't gone down to reflect the smaller sizes. In many cases, they've gone up. At the same time, some of the less popular varieties and flavors are being quietly discontinued. The companies aren't making announcements. They're just not restocking. If your family has a favorite cereal that's a little niche, check your store carefully. It might already be gone. I noticed this when my kids asked for a specific cereal they'd been eating for years. I went to 2 stores and couldn't find it. I looked it up online and found forum posts from other parents saying the same thing. The brand hadn't made any announcement. It just vanished. If there's a cereal your family loves, consider buying it in bulk online or at a warehouse club. And start paying attention to the per-ounce price, not the sticker price on the box. That's how you catch shrinkflation in the act. Your breakfast shouldn't cost more and deliver less. But that's exactly what's happening right now. Item number 14. Cooking oil. Beyond olive oil, which we already covered, the broader cooking oil category is under significant stress. Vegetable oil, canola oil, corn oil, and soybean oil have all seen price increases and occasional availability issues. The reasons are interconnected. Soybean oil is increasingly being diverted to renewable diesel production, which competes directly with food use. Canola production in Canada has been affected by weather variability. Palm oil, which is used in countless processed foods and is a major global cooking oil, has faced supply disruptions due to labor shortages in Malaysia and Indonesia and increasing environmental regulations. What this means for you at the grocery store is that the big jug of vegetable oil that used to cost $3 or $4 is now $5 to $7. And during peak demand periods, shelves can get thin. I keep at least 2 large bottles of cooking oil in my pantry at all times now. I rotate through them so nothing goes rancid. And I've started paying closer attention to which oils are on sale each week and buying accordingly, rather than being loyal to one type. Cooking oil is one of those essentials that you don't think about until you run out in the middle of making dinner. Don't let that happen. Stay ahead of it. Item number 15. Canned and shelf-stable milk. This last one is something that very few people are watching, but it matters more than you might think. Shelf-stable milk, including evaporated milk, sweetened condensed milk, and UHT long-life milk, is becoming harder to find at consistent prices. Dairy markets globally have been volatile. Feed costs for dairy cattle have risen. Labour shortages at processing plants continue. And the packaging for shelf-stable milk, which requires specialised aseptic cartons or lined cans, has become more expensive due to material cost increases. Evaporated milk in particular has been spotty on shelves. If you bake pumpkin pie every Thanksgiving, you've probably already noticed this. Sweetened condensed milk, which is essential for certain desserts and recipes, has seen similar issues. And UHT milk, which is popular for emergency preparedness and for households that don't go through fresh milk quickly, has become pricier and less consistently stocked. I started keeping a small supply of evaporated milk and condensed milk in my pantry after getting caught without it during the holidays 2 years ago. I had to drive to 3 stores to find a single can. That was my wake-up call. If any of these products are part of your regular cooking or baking routine, buy a few extra cans each time you shop. They last for a year or more on the shelf. And if you're into emergency preparedness at all, UHT milk in shelf-stable cartons is one of the smartest things you can store. Don't wait until the holiday rush to find out your store is out of stock. Now here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Look at the pattern. It's not one item. It's not one category. It's pantry staples across the board. The foods that American families have depended on for decades are all being squeezed at the same time. Prices going up, sizes going down, varieties disappearing, quality declining, and none of it is making front-page news. This isn't about panic. I'm not telling you to go clear out your grocery store tomorrow. That doesn't help anyone. What I am telling you is to be strategic. Pay attention. Buy a little extra each week. Build your pantry gradually. Watch the prices. Compare the per-unit costs. And don't assume that what's on the shelf today will be there next month at the same price. The people who pay attention now are the ones who won't be scrambling later. That's always how it works. Most people will notice these changes 6 months from now and wonder what happened. But you're here. You're watching this. You already know. If this information was useful to you, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment telling me which item on this list surprised you the most. I read every single comment and I use your feedback to decide what to cover next. Share this video with someone in your family who does the grocery shopping. They need to see this. I've got more content coming soon that goes even deeper into what's happening with food prices and availability in 2026. You're going to want to be here for that. Stay smart, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next one.